Hi, everybody. Can anybody hear me? Yeah. Mark's going to turn this off, this TV down or something. Can anybody hear me? Yeah. Thumbs up or okay. I'm changing my I changed the intro without realizing I had changed the intro. So I usually hear that. So anyway, I want to say hi to everybody. I'm not sure how many people will be here right now. If you are just coming in, I believe that Jimena is going live right now from Mexico, and as you know, there's a lot of really scary stuff going on there. So if anybody wants to redirect over to there and then come back and watch this one, that's absolutely fine. Or you can stay here and then go over and watch her afterwards, whichever you want to do. But I do want to say I know that she's fine, she's safe, but anyway, I understand. So I don't know. It feels weird. I guess I just got used to hearing the music, and when the music wasn't there, I'm like lost. So hey, AB, how you? Yes, it is. It is a scary situation. I've been like, kind of in a panic all afternoon. So I would like for everybody. I would like to just take just a moment of silence, just for our neighbors down south and for Jimena and her family. For those of you that don't know, briefly, I will say that apparently last night the Mexican government killed a cartel, kind of a big cartel leader, kind of a big deal down there, I'm assuming. And the cartel has sworn revenge, basically. And so they are shooting people, and who knows, I might demonetize myself with this video. But anyway, they're doing a whole lot of stuff down there. There's a lot of fires and explosions and a lot. And literally the last I knew, some of it was like 3 blocks from Jimena's life. So or life. I just saw, but anyway, from her house. Sorry, 3 blocks from her house. So she's scared for her life, and we are too. So if we would just take just a moment, um, just send all whatever positive energies, prayers, whatever you got. Just send some love to Jimena and the people in Mexico while this is going on. So I'm just gonna go silent for a minute. Okay, thank you all. It's weird. The hello, quiet, peaceful dance. Good to see you. We just had a moment of silence for our friend Jimena and the other people in Mexico, and we just hold them in the light. Whatever energy you have is very much appreciated. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Yeah, you just caught alive. I've been missing you. So, y'all, tonight we're going to talk about when friendships end. And we're not here. This is not like a bash anybody kind of a deal. I'm bringing on some friends, some of my mods, and we're going to kind of talk about when friendships end. And if they want to share their personal experiences with some of that, that would be wonderful. And I've also wrote down some statistics that I'm going to read off as we're kind of talking about this. And so, one thing that I didn't realize, and that was, and I'll go into that more, was that our brain actually processes the loss of a friendship like it processes pain. So, when we say that it hurts, it absolutely does. And so I think that that's, just, I don't know. I think it's something I just didn't realize. It shows the depth that we hold our relationships with our friends, I think. So, Slave Over, hey AB, do you hang out in the FKR community also? She does. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's good to see you here. And anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get my guests on the screen, and I'll introduce them. Of course, I think you know them all, and we're gonna get started. I'm a little thrown off, I think, because I've been so worried about Jimena. So if I seem a little, discombobulated, then I am. So anyway, we're gonna bring on Jersey Jan and Ben Bacon Bits and rocking it out for life. So I'm gonna move this so we don't cover up its pretty face. Hi, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Worried, but so no, no, Slate, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. We are welcoming here. You didn't hijack anything. Hey, Cliff Ann, good to see you too. So, guys, tonight, whenever I first brought this up the other day, all of you were saying, "Hey, I've got a great story I could tell. I got a great story I could tell." And I find that really interesting because, you know, I didn't realize till I started researching for the show, honestly, how often friendships break down or break up and how painful that can be, or how just, off-putting. Not just that you're like mad that you had an argument and you got mad, but I'm talking about the aftermath of it, how that all goes down in the days and weeks and months afterwards, and how people handle it or don't. And I'm really, really interested, in seeing and hearing your all story. So I'm gonna just kind of I wanted to where did I go with it? Here we go. I'm gonna kind of read off some facts that I wrote down as we kind of go along. And the number one fact, which I actually mentioned a minute ago, says that research shows that the brain processes social rejection the same way that it processes physical pain. And on top of that, studies at the University of Michigan found losing a close friend activates similar neural pathways as heartbreak in a romantic relationship. So, losing a friend, the brain is processing that not only the same as pain, but also the same as it would losing a romantic partner. And I just thought that man, my accent sounds terrible tonight. But anyway, I just thought that seemed interesting. I don't think that, like, I knew that it hurts to lose, a close friend and everything, to an argument. I'm not talking about like death, but like to, a breakup. I knew that it was painful, but I didn't realize that it literally, your brain registers it the same as it does pain and a romantic partner. So I'm just going to kind of go to each of you and let you kind of talk about your story, and I'll fill in some facts here and there as we go along, or after you all get done or something. So Jan, I'm going to start with you.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
well, you're right next to me. At least on the screen.
Well, I've been on both sides of this.
Uh-huh.
I've had friendships that were just toxic that I had to just cut off
Yeah.
at the knees because I just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
But the ones I think that hurt the most, I've been on the receiving end. I had a friendship, my best friend for over 50 years. We met in kindergarten. Just a couple of years ago, I think because of her husband, just ghosted me.
Oh,
We
wow.
don't like if I text her, she'll answer, but
Yeah.
she does not and will not communicate with me at all other
Yeah.
than that. And I'm like, you know, friendship has to be a two-way street. And that hurt. I think about her every day. I still cry over it. I
I
mean,
can.
that was over a 50 plus year friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Her family, and what hurts also is not just the friendship, but her family was my family.
Yeah.
Since I'm not close with my family at all. I considered her sister a sister. Her brother-in-law was a brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, her mom used to call me her third daughter. And now I've been ghosted by everybody.
Wow. Wow.
And
So
it
you
hurts.
understand how that, yeah, you understand how, like, saying that your body, your brain actually registers that the same as it does pain,
Yeah.
because it actually literally does hurt.
It does.
It's
It
not
feels
just
very painful.
upsetting, it hurts. You know, the stuff I was reading was saying that, like, you will feel physical pain, you know,
Mhm.
over a friendship breakup, just like you do sometimes. You know, they say people die of a broken heart, and that's actually something that happens. You know, you can actually die from a broken heart when usually it's a, you know,
I
like
believe
a
it.
romantic partnership thing. One dies and the other one just loses the will to live, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had a friend that we were friends since the 3rd grade, and, again, just like what you said, very close friends, you know, family was family. She was at my house as much as I was at as much as I was. We were at one or the other's house for years,
Mhm.
and then kept in touch even after I moved here to Oklahoma. We kept in touch and everything. And yeah, we, quit being friends over politics in, 2016. She just ghosted me, and, you know, we talked a couple of times. We tried to kinda pull it back together, and then she was actually killed in a horrible, she was a runner, and she was a hit and run driver hit her and
Oh
killed her
my God,
before we were
that's
able to.
horrible.
Yeah, and so I literally didn't find out about her passing until the funeral was over, so I couldn't even, you know, fly there and see her, and that's something I've had a really hard time getting over. There's been others, but that one's probably the hardest, you know,
Mhm.
and she was like a physical, what they call like a real life friend, you know, and but I've had some even online, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. So how have I mean, how are you doing with that? Are you just like, you know, just trying to just muddle through it, or,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I have no choice,
Yeah.
and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
so
just
sad.
don't contact her. I got the message, you know, from her and her
Yeah.
family that she does not want to have anything to do with me anymore.
That is just
So
so
I got the message,
sad.
and I just don't contact her.
Mhm. Oh,
I
wow.
took away the desire, not the desire, what am I trying to say? Temptation.
Temptation. Yeah, I was
Contact
trying to grab that
temptation.
word.
I deleted everybody's numbers out of my phone.
Yeah.
I don't have their phone numbers. I don't have their addresses anymore. I have no idea if they're
Yeah.
living in the same places or if God forbid, you know, somebody passed. I have no idea.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm the godmother of her 2 sons.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Do they keep in touch with you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
I
That's at
mean,
least
not a lot, you know, not a I'm just kind of
good.
like the, you know, the aunt that lives half kind of thing. They're adults now. But, I mean, so I my responsibility is basically over, you know, she passed after they were both grown and married and everything, and
Mhm.
but I still consider myself their godmother, and, you know, I still wanna know what's going on in her life, but yeah, it was man, friendships, they are so great, but they sure can suck sometimes.
Yeah.
So so, Kim, let's hear You said you had some stories too, and we'll come back. We're going to kind of circle around to
Yeah,
everybody.
um, it's kind of interesting. In 2020, of course, COVID was happening,
Mhm,
and there were a lot of political things happening. And through online, I saw people changing
mhm.
that I had known, like high school friends, not current
Yeah,
friends, but you know,
yeah.
um, it
Mhm,
was strange. It was
mhm.
it was scary. And then along the way, I discovered that the Mormon Church was false, and so that was a complete
Yes, I was about to
loss.
say you had a huge
So, and then along the way in 2020, I finally decided to apply for disability. Um, I got it, and then I paid off this home that I live in. I got it for 16,000, tax
Oh,
forfeited
wow.
home. And so I solved that problem where I don't worry about where I'm going to live. And but then the people part, I've been
Yeah.
learning about interpersonal communication. I've been developing my identity, not the
Mhm.
identity that would always try to convert someone or if I couldn't move on kind of thing. It's developing actual relationships,
Mhm.
not things that are quid pro quo
Yeah.
because of church or because of not being friends with someone because they're not members. So it's the
Yeah.
whole thing now. I'm s- I'm sitting here going, wow, how do you guys do this? This is new. This is different. And in the past 5 years, some social relationships here and there that weren't friendships, but that were huge examples of miscommunication
Mhm.
that ended up with me seriously being blocked for over a year from a channel and not knowing it because I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
know how YouTube worked. I found out because I tried to send them a super chat because they were down and they were going through a whole bunch of stuff and it wouldn't go through. And I was like, whoa. And I'm not chatty the way I used to be. I mean, I'll say
Mm.
hi and then I bow out because I'm either listening to the chat or listening to the information. My brain has its troubles with both.
I have a hard time doing both. You'll see me
It-
just kind of, like, lose it, like, I'm, like, off over here somewhere.
it's hard.
It is
And
hard.
that's why being a mod, I love it because I'm paying attention to my chat. I'm in the
Mhm.
moment of the chat. I
Yeah.
don't even I have to go back to hear the content.
Yeah.
But all of this, it was so much miscommunication and telephone games that I was not even a part of. I'm just
Mhm.
this person. I'm nothing. I'm just a member of a chat that had this happen to them. Listening to a different matter, it was Nora's chat. Somebody had a problem and they said, well, email the creator. I'm like, oh my God, you could do that. And that's how simple it goes sometimes, where I don't realize that that's an option.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
I
either.
emailed the creator and I got a whole bunch of information back. That creator, man, they gave up so much of their control in that email and it was like, I responded back that I would love to interview them and I will send them the question in advance. And I've never heard from them again. And that's okay. These are the
Yeah.
attempts made. Okay. It's not a right or wrong on anybody's part. Now, maybe the blocking me and I didn't even know it because I'm kind of dense. Now that's on them. They still got my watch time. I just,
Yeah.
it's a learning experience, is what I'm saying. It's not something that I need to take personal. They don't know me and I don't know them. It was an attempt. Not all attempts are going to do anything.
Mhm.
And the biggie that I've learned along the way with this, all I ever wanted to do was tell my story. I didn't want to start a channel. I didn't want to be sitting here doing any of this. Andrew Gold was going to interview me, but I needed a certain amount of internet and I needed a certain microphone, and I didn't have either. So I worked real
Mhm.
hard to get what I needed. And then all kinds of other things happened along the way, Goldie and blah, blah, blah. This is way back in the day.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
have watched and experienced and seen all of these friendships with other people, these creators that we've all watched, their
Mhm.
relationships, their dynamics. And I am so in awe that anybody has friendships, that anybody makes connections. I see how difficult it is
It
and
is.
how heated things can get and how much miscommunication and a lot
Mhm.
of real stuff goes on.
Yeah.
I'm just 5 years into this real world. I'm 61
Yeah.
years old and I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be out here doing this. And when you talked apart, one of the things it said was the healing part of when friendships end.
Yeah.
What I've been learning is about the habit loop. And the basic loop of a habit is you've got your cue, you've got your routine, and the reward. Okay. So you've got cues, you maybe have a connection, you might, think, then you're getting them into a routine. Maybe you're chatting a little more interpersonal communication, the reward, you know. So then you've got that nice loop. Things happen that disrupt the loop. What you have to do to heal is you gradually introduce something new because that's your routine. You're used to it, even if you've only been doing it a couple weeks.
Hmm.
And it can be heartbreaking because it was an
Yeah.
attempt, it was new. You don't have to have 30 years to feel the pain that you were talking about
Absolutely.
because that's how I felt. I felt a physical pain that I could not understand. And then I started figuring some things out and I am so grateful for all of it. And I hope people get a little something about what I'm going through and the
Yeah.
process of all of it. Um, I don't have bad feelings, which is really cool about anything, the past 5 years of all of it,
Hmm.
because I've gained and I've learned. And those relationships that got a start, maybe this is the ebb part and it's going to flow later.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't anywhere near ready because I didn't have an identity yet. Okay.
Hmm.
I didn't even know what color. I didn't even know any basic things that I like. And so this is
Wow.
exciting and this is new. And friendships and relationships is my next step. I've got
Hmm.
different communities I'm a part of, my ex-Mormon community. Um,
Hmm.
Third Verse, Megan Connor, I mod for her. She's got an amazing channel. Got to check her out.
Yeah.
Um, Latter Daily Digest, we have a panel on Tuesdays, and it's things like this, being on panels like
Hmm.
this.
I love
We
this. This
we
is my
get to
favorite part.
explore how to make those connections, not just here in this parasocial way, but in our real lives.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't have that yet. I'm barely willing to be. It's funny, how am I brave enough to do this, but not brave enough to go to a class downtown?
I get it, though.
That
I
sounds
get
so
it.
weird. Anybody
People
could be
see me on
watching
here.
this, but go downtown?
They see me on here and they think, "Oh, Susie's, she's outgoing. She's, she talks." Mm-mm. In my real life, you would either think that I am incredibly shy or stuck up because I'm just very quiet until I get to know you. Like I talk Mark's leg off, but like if I meet somebody new in real life,
Mhm.
I don't. So I mean, I get that. Sometimes it is easier here, but
But
you'll
it's a
get there.
start. We're all
It
making
is.
starts.
Mhm.
Anything, it's just those ebbs and flows. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
I just can't look at it. And then newly, finding out your AU ADHD late in life is a whole nother challenge.
Mhm.
All the things that were strange, I get now, and I don't
Yeah.
care. I used to care. Now it's like, yeah, no worries. uh, I get to let loose
Mhm.
and relax. And I think
Mhm.
this is going to help in the friendship part
I think it will
because
too.
I'm not
Mhm.
going to have to go, oh, it's the give and take is going to be happening.
Mhm.
And so that's why when I saw this, I thought, this is such a cool one. I want to say there's people out there like me that are just starting
Yeah.
brand new. And we take some of our cues from people that have been around a little more, but it's so good to know that you're all just as confused as I am.
Yeah, we are, and that's why
I love it.
I thought this would be a great show to do because I think that I don't know. I think that we all have this tendency to think that, like, individually, like, I think I'm just weird, you know? Like, I think I'm just weird, that I'm just, I have said before to some of my mods, I'm like, I'm just not good at being a friend. And John's like, bullshit, you're a great friend, you're blah, blah, blah. But I got to thinking about it and I thought, if I feel this way, so do other people. And if I have been incredibly hurt over the loss of friendships, so have other people. If I have incredibly hurt people, so have other people. Because I know that I've not always, ended things well, And so I think we all just need to remember we're all just people. We are human and we hurt and we also hurt people, and whether we meant to or not. And I don't know, I just thought this was just I thought there was 100 different ways we could go at this one subject. So Ben, let's hear from you.
Being.
Ben, oh, quit
Yeah,
making
the
fun of me.
okay.
Quit
I have
making
to
fun of
say,
me.
I was one of Christie's chats. She
Uh,
even the most toxic places can create
yes,
meaningful, healthy friendships and connections, and that's so true.
that is
Um,
true.
there's a lot of things here that were said that wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, and part of the reason, from my understanding, part of the reason why breaking up in a not in romantic relationship
Hmm.
necessarily, but in a friendship, it triggers this part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. I can't believe I pronounced it
Hmm.
right. And that's the same part of the brain that processes when you burn your hand. It, when you feel betrayed and all that, that
Yeah.
one part of the brain lights up. And yeah, that's largely, at least according to the research I looked at, UCLA. I can't remember. Eisenberger, I think, was her name. Uh, yeah, that she was one of the people that dug into that. Um, yeah, it absolutely, and then you also have, of course, we're social beings. Uh, Loss of tribe for our ancestors that meant loss of resource, loss of
Mhm.
protection. Part of the
Absolutely.
tribe would go out hunting. Yet the part that couldn't hunt would go out raising vegetables and things like
Hmm.
that, and this part couldn't. They relied interdependence, I guess, is what I'm saying, and, to be excluded from the tribe meant you lost all that, so that you have that going on as well emotionally.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's
yeah,
a death sentence.
yeah, yeah,
You know.
it really is, and then, of course, then you have the fact that we ruminate so much. "Oh, I should have done this," and, "Oh, it's."
Yeah.
And that every time you do that, even though and everybody does, not something that you magically are immune from just simply because you
Hmm.
know better. Every time you remember that, your brain, because we have these lovely brains that we have,
Hmm.
you reopen the wound and your brain feels it again.
Yeah.
When you create a connection, you have oxytocin, you have dopamine, you have all this stuff dumping into your body. You feel good,
Hmm.
and dopamine not only feel good, but it's the big thing it causes is it tells your brain this is worth pursuing. Whatever I get from this is what I want to pursue. And when you, of course, end that, your body
Yeah.
experiences the exact, it gets cortisol, which, yeah, lovely cortisol. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and I've been in, and of course, then you also have identity. I
Hmm.
think it was Rio that said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't point. I guess it was Rio that said that, for her, she also had part of her identity, and we all
Hmm.
intertwine our identities
Oh yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. And in her instance, she also, loss of a church, and that is a nasty one because
Yeah.
not that churches are nasty, but it's nasty from an identity standpoint
Yeah.
because it's not I believe in this church, I believe in this. It's I am a Christian. I am a Mormon. I am Republican. I am Democrat. I
Yeah.
am this. And when we wrap ourselves with these beliefs as if they're identity, and everybody does this. I mean,
Oh
don't
yeah.
get me wrong. I'm not saying it like I've arrived, or certainly not. But when we lose that, it's like we actually lose part of ourselves, a part of the way we identify. We see it as losing part of our identity, and that'll take you. You talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's like
Mm-hmm.
safety right at the bottom.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it'll take you right down there. And so yeah, it's a nasty. It is really nasty, and
Mhm.
but there's times which, of course, we need to do it for our own sanity. Um, we need to do it for our own health or whatever.
Mhm.
But still, even though it's harmful, the brain favors familiarity over safety.
Yeah.
It will go with familiarity every time. That's the reason why people return to physically abusive relationships,
Absolutely.
stuff like that. These are powerful, and this stuff is down in the lower part of your brain. You think, oh no, I can overrule it with my prefrontal cortex. It's like, no, the lower down you go in the brain, the more it's like you're getting closer and closer to, the part of your brain that's like keeps you breathing. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you think you can overrule that? You
Yeah.
really think? Like, just hold your breath. And most of us can't even do it till we pass out. But even after you pass out, you'll start back up. So
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah, and I lost a couple relationships. One was very odd, and it was over. It wasn't. It could have been over quasi politics, but it was over. Which politics is a nasty subject, and I try to stay clear of it as much as
Yeah. Me too.
possible. Um, there are people in political circles that you can befriend and things like that, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
yeah, you can get taken down. I mean, that's real close to moral. You get in these groups, and they turn into like moral framing, where it's not like we disagree with this person. It's now turned into they're evil. So now you
Yeah.
turned it into a moral thing where it's no longer based upon who has a better argument. You can't reason with these people. You're certainly not allowed to talk to people on the other side. It's now a moral thing. They're evil. Now you no longer have to even reason with that. You just have to, well, they're bad. Well,
Yeah.
why? Because they're evil and I'm
Yeah.
good. And yeah, that's a way to. But yeah, anyhow, this relationship was, of all things, over economics. I mean, you
Wow.
talk about something that's so low temp. The economics, really? But we were discussing this thing about current year baseline budgeting. It's a long, really boring subject, but this disagreement coming out, and I was like, oh no, have you tried thinking about it like this? And what I kept getting back was a series of personal insults.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? I'm like, you're just plain stupid. Even my 7-year-old daughter can understand this.
Oh wow.
Your
Yeah.
7-year-old daughter. And then finally just got to the point where I kept trying to bring up studies and writings from different economics thought, and all I kept getting back was moron, idiot. And it's like finally, it's like, okay, dude, you're obviously very emotional, very passionate of this, and I think I accidentally used the term emotional. I should have used the term passionate, but yeah, that of course triggered off a
Oh
oh my
my.
god, and it's really
Mm.
weird because this person was the furthest from that school, but
Mhm.
yeah, I finally had to say, okay, we do teach people how they can treat us.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you've crossed you crossed a couple boundaries that no, and that was before I, you know, got into psychology a little bit. Now I can see some warning signs about some behaviors, which
Yeah.
hindsight's always 2020. But
Well, we think
still,
people are at the same level as us, and
Yeah.
people
well,
aren't.
yeah, yeah,
And I think
and
that's a big thing with a lot
Mhm.
of friendships even.
Yeah.
yeah,
There comes a point you're not at the same level anymore.
well, yeah, and I don't really necessarily try to put people on a hierarchy, but
Well,
um,
I
no,
mean, like,
I guess that's
you were
not
on the same road and now
yeah.
you're not. How's
Okay,
that?
now I see
You
what
know,
you're
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
are a little
yeah,
bit different. Change
yeah,
happens and
Yeah.
yeah,
they changed, and
Yeah.
no,
I get
you
yeah.
that.
either accept or you don't. And man, that's hard.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, because I
That's
misunderstood what you were
hard.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
yeah,
get what
no. Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, and we do naturally think that. We think everybody thinks like us. When we relate, this will come out in speech
Yeah.
patterns and everything else. We say, well, people say, usually, or people believe,
Yeah.
usually, and it comes out more times in high stress. But yeah, when we insult people, we tend to use insults that would hurt us. We
Yeah.
think, therefore, they're going to be hurt by what would hurt us. It's not always the case. Not that I'm necessarily saying it's a good thing to go around insulting people.
No, but I know what you're talking about. I get it. Wow. Linda Scott says, I'm lucky my friends and I put our affection for each other before our differences. Yeah, that's what we try to do. But then there's every once in a while, there's that case that it starts out that way. And then, for one reason or another, it's not. I mean, I have lost a couple of friends in my life, one in especially, well, the one I talked about, but another one in particular that I would have thought that we would have been friends till the day one of us died,
Mhm.
and to everything fall apart in the span of 5 minutes is devastating. And this is somebody that like, you know, Linda was saying, I thought, and so would she have thought that we put our affection for each other before everything else. But then did we? And I don't know. Was it my fault, her fault? I don't know. I don't know. It just happened and it's devastating. It is absolutely devastating. It makes you kind of afraid to make good friends again because you don't want to be hurt like that again. So I was going to read this off real quick. I have I don't remember how many little facts I wrote down, but anyway, I thought this one was interesting. It's number 2 is, did you know that most adults lose half of their close friends every 7 years?
Hmm.
And it says, it asks, so I'm asking this of the chat too, and of the panel. How many of your closest friends from 10 years ago are still in your life? You don't have to absolutely count them, but is there a percentage? Have you thought about how many of your closest friends in the last 10 years that are now gone? I mean, not from passing away. I mean, that you've, just drifted apart, or you've actually had an argument that has caused you to split. And I was really thinking a lot about that. And my situation's weird because a great deal of the last 10 years, I was fighting cancer.
Mm.
And so I was so wrapped up in my own world, and my world was very narrow, because it was very much just survive, 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 just whatever I needed to survive. And, COVID and all that, if you add all those things together, I literally have drifted apart from. I mean, we're not arguing. I still, if I see him on Facebook or something, we speak. but it's not the same. It's not that I go look for them or they go look for me. It's this, if we run into each other on Facebook or something, or some of them are, it's like if we run into each other in the grocery store or Walmart or, a restaurant. There's even friends that I have had since high school. I've got this one in particular that we've been friends since, God, I was probably 15 years old. I'm 59 now. And I absolutely love him with all my heart. He's one of my dearest friends. And I will kind of avoid him in person just because, like, it's just sometimes feels like a lot of work to come up with a conversation or something. It's easier on like social media because I can, think about what I want to say, or I can send them like some kind of a meme or, a video or something. And so I got to wondering also, like with you all, how do you do that? Are you still friends with a lot of the people that you were close to in, say, the last 10 years? Or have you drifted away from some of those, or
Mm.
fallen out with some of those? I mean, I'm just interested. So just jump
Say
in.
about half.
About half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a job change.
See, I mean, I mean, a lot of things
Uh,
can play into it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so interesting. And I mean, it said about half,
Yeah.
that, and I thought, man, that really is one of my friends that I've been really good friends with for the last, I don't know, probably close to 10 years at this point. And we actually went down to Texas to see her one time, and we talked constantly every day. And the other day, like, she was like, hey, we're going to go for spring break. We're going to go to Branson. Do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And it's like, even 6, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, man, I'll talk to Mark tomorrow, or I'll talk to Mark tonight, whatever. And now I'm kind of like, I don't know, and I don't know if it does it feel like to any of you that it got easier to kind of avoid meeting up with people after COVID? I mean, do
Mm.
any of you think that might be some of it, that we kind of got used to not interacting on a personal level,
I
and so
think we
maybe that's
changed
why
it.
we
I think
kind of,
people got more family versus friend oriented. I think everything, it kind of went to just who you're basically around when COVID happened. And
yeah,
work changed, everything changed. I think right now, I don't know. I moved to a different state 7, 8 years ago, and then I moved to
yeah,
Utah. My dad died, moved back up here. And I discovered that when you move, you're still the same friends, but you're not, because you don't see each other.
yeah,
Mm.
It's like my friendship's on hold. If I
yeah. I get
drove,
that.
if I drove over to Illinois, everything would be as if time stood still but went on.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
like, I think I had 2 or 3, and I have 1, so yeah, half.
yeah. Isn't that something? I really found that just really interesting. Another one that I read was, it said research published in Evolution and Human Behavior found women report more emotional distress from friendship breakups because they struggle emotional or they structure, I'm sorry, they structure emotional networks more around friendships. So we structure our networks more around friendships than like work people and all these things that maybe men are more structured around the people that they work with and all that, and we do it more on who we're friends with. And so it says that this might explain why friendship breakups with women really can feel like a death, like that you have
Mm.
suffered a death. And I found that interesting too. And so so Ben, you're our man on the street here tonight, our token male. So, okay, so like whenever you suffered the loss of this friendship that you were talking about, did that feel like a death to you too, or did it just feel like, oh man, I've just lost this, really good friendship? I mean,
One did. The person I talked about before.
yeah,
That one that one felt like a deep loss.
yeah,
And because we had hung around together since high school.
yeah,
Um yeah, I had another one which I'm not going to bring up names, but everybody here would recognize if I said who it was, or at least most people would. This person's father ran whatever, a channel. But even after things with him were fairly well known, he he's a crappy con. I'll just put it out that way. Okay, you have him, but his son and I were, getting
yeah,
along. But this guy, I commented in one channel because we are watching. It was on, people exposing his father, and he chose to turn and lie to another friend I had who we have always had our differences of opinion. Most of it was on, this trash, DSM psychology and things like that.
hmm,
We've had disagreements, but gravity. We've had disagreements, but like, oh, so what? But the lies that this his son told this person, yeah. I mean, I've kind of worked it out with them, but you can tell there's a rift
yeah,
there now. And um I'm actually kind of thankful because this person showed up in a private meeting that we both had. And yeah, it gave me some resolution, and I was able to illustrate boundaries with them. And it's like, no, dude, you cross some lines, which
yeah,
no, I can't abide. You cross, and the other guy did too, but we had more of a connection. In both cases, though, it was, I'm not going to allow you to treat me this way, and
yeah,
yeah, actually, and I'm not going to allow you to lie about me this way, which is the same thing. So those
yeah,
are kind of different examples versus a lot of times you see this where there's a lot of confusion in interpersonal relationships, and somebody says, "Oh, I can't handle you anymore. You're just insane." Like, what are you talking about? I mean, what? But
yeah,
I imagine the shock if either of these events had been the case, it would have been a lot more painful to deal with. I think it's kind of a good band-aid, I think, when you realize at least that this person is not healthy for me. There's still pain there, but at least it's kind of like getting a shot. You
yeah,
there's pain, but it's for at
yeah,
least looking
yeah,
very pragmatically at it. It's for a good purpose. Versus, yeah, so your friend just flipping out on you, and I can't handle you anymore. Ah,
mm,
okay, because then you have confusion on top of everything else, and you'd have a lot of rumination. What did I say? I
yeah,
mean, yeah, there were chats. I don't know if anybody here was in one of them, but I've been kicked out of chats on Facebook because I would say a joke, somebody would think I was serious, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
boom, you've been booted from this chat. I didn't
Aw.
realize I was booted. Doing okay, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I still talk to both people involved.
Christy says Ben has helped me through the loss of friends and has brought a good perspective I appreciate. Absolutely. He is treasured in our mod group. He really is. We tease him. Somebody said I felt so terrible. But somebody messaged me and said, "Why do you hate Ben so much? I thought he was a really nice guy." And I'm like, "Oh my God, no. We love Ben." But I guess we were like teasing so much and
This is a
somebody thought we were serious. So
this is a side note. I just realized our Lord Kiss Freak is in the chat. I
yes, he is.
really I've really got to digitize at least like the first 3 beats of a Kiss song. Every time he comes on, I can play it.
Yes, that would be great. So I was gonna see what is the next one. Okay. Okay, this is a tough one, and I have been on both sides of this situation here. Number 4 says a study from University, it'd be nice if I could talk, of Western Ontario found over 60% of adults have been ghosted by at
Mm.
least one friend. And it asks, is ghosting ever okay or is it emotional cowardice? And I'm ashamed to say it. I have done it. And it, to be honest, in me, it is kind of a cowardice thing because it is fear driven. But it's a fear of an ugly fight that I know's coming.
Mm.
If I just try to talk. And a lot of it, the not the friend that passed away, but another friend, um, I tried to talk it out constantly. I really, I wanted to, like, we're gonna fix this. Even if we don't stay friends, we're gonna fix it. And so I learned very quickly that that was not gonna work. And I honestly have been a little afraid of the confrontation since then. And so I have been more likely to kind of just disappear. And I'm not proud of that, but
Mm.
that is why. And I know people that get very angry if you say, well, I did this, but this is why. But I don't think of it as an excuse, but there's a difference in excuse and reason. It's not a good excuse, but that is the reason that I've done it.
Then
And
it's
so,
not ghosting. It's oh, what was it? It's the you're changing the, what's it called? You're changing the boundary with no notification.
yeah,
You're going no contact with no notification, no
yeah,
advance notice. You're not ghosting
yeah,
anybody. You've made a conscious choice.
yeah. Well, there's usually the people that it has happened with, they know that there's something absolutely wrong. It usually is an argument has kind of started. Not like I do it all the time. There's been a couple times.
But would that be an ebb
But
in your relationship where the
yeah,
friendship can reignite later because
I
there's
don't think
nothing?
so.
Or
I don't
or
think
do
so.
friendships not really work that way?
Some do, but these two
I mean, if you
particular, I
ghost
don't think
somebody,
so.
does that keep a door
Yeah.
open, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I wonder. I hadn't thought of it that
Or
way.
not.
Yeah, but the 2 times that I've really done it, there was an argument that started and I went, "Whoa," out of fear because I learned from a past relationship that when it starts, if I say, yeah, but let's work this out," it just went nuts. And I don't want that. I honestly, it doesn't work out this way, but I really sometimes think like what you're saying is like if I just back away, I'm not going to say anything I regret and they're not going to say anything they regret, and maybe this can work out to where we can still be friendly or you know not enemies basically in the future. But I have found that, and I was looking at some of this, let's see here, where did it say that? It says, yeah, it says that that a lot of times whenever you do ghost somebody, that just makes them come back at you more because
Mm.
they're feeling
Would be.
just shut down and unimportant, and that has never been my intention. It really, in those moments, I'm very selfish. I have just like shut down out of self-preservation, basically.
See,
And
I've been
again,
ghosted, and being neurospicy, I don't get the hint. I don't catch the cue. So if I've
yeah,
been ghosted, I wouldn't even notice.
yeah, I wonder that about the
It's like,
people, the two relationships that has happened in. I wonder if that has some on it too, and with myself. I think that it's like that it's this where I really it didn't work out. And instead of just being able to say it didn't work out, and I believe I've got a friend that says that you can break up for any reason. You don't have to have a good reason to break up with somebody. If it is not right for you, it is okay to break up with somebody.
Well, maybe it should be like therapy, where every 5 years you should switch it up a little.
Yeah. But so, I'm kind of wondering if any of you have been ghosted or have ghosted somebody and how that's worked out for you, because it didn't work out very good for me, clearly.
I've probably been ghosted, but yeah, again, I'm the same way where everybody says, "Oh, can't you feel what's going on?" I'm like, "What? Huh?"
What? Yeah.
I'm pretty dense on a lot of stuff, so it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't notice. I haven't intentionally. No, I will say I'm going to treat ghosting different than unsubscribing and demonetizing and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I the most I've done has been, gone quiet for a little while. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to think about this. And I usually, like, okay, what are they seeing wrong here? What did I do?
Yeah.
And then go back and say, okay, is this what happened? And then sometimes it's actually been nothing.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know what this is about. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do like what Christy said, and I can say that she does hold to that. She gives
Mhm.
notice to everybody, and it's like, wow, there's that is definitely an ideal I want to look up to. I haven't ghosted anybody to the point of breakup that I'm aware of, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I haven't done.
Yeah, Ben tried to ghost me one time. He like took a little step back, and I'm like, no.
I wonder how many people. Well, yeah, I was in so many.
They
chats.
tease me because I'm like going, no, this is not going to happen. He took a break from the mod chat for about 5 minutes, because about 5 minutes in, I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. You can mute, but you are not leaving. So I did like this one too.
Well, I think a lot of
I
people
thought
communicate
that-
better now. I don't think there's a lot of ghosting so much with
Yeah,
the people I see. They don't. I don't know.
A Tribe Called Duff says, I lost a friend recently and I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
didn't
also
think about
get
that.
sometimes. Sometimes it is. To be perfectly honest, I feel like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders in a lot of ways with some of the friendships that I've lost, just because I was never going to be able to give them what they needed in the relationship. I think sometimes is it bad to just like cut your losses and walk away? I mean, I don't know. Is that bad?
From someone that did the sunken cost fallacy for decades, no, I think it's perfectly fine to cut your losses and move on. Because if they come back in your life, it wasn't a loss.
Yeah, I get what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
I've seen too many circles in life where everything just seems to come back that's needed to come back.
What is that thing that, if you love them, let them go. If they come back, they were yours. If they didn't, they weren't. And I mean, it's much more beautifully said than that, but you know what I mean. But anyway, I just, yeah, I think sometimes we get into friendship relationships very quickly online a lot of times, especially these online relationships. And then, and for whatever reason that we get into those, and then you kind of sit back and you go, ugh, this just doesn't feel good, and so I've seen that happen a lot. And I don't know. I'm just always curious of what it's doing to other people too.
It just occurred to me that I actually have ghosted. It's completely unintentional.
Ooh.
I have ghosted somebody. There was one chat I was part of. I think it was in Key. I think it was the subgroup of Keela's group. But I'm sorry, it's women on women talking. It's like
Yeah.
this. I feel creepy. I mean, we weren't talking about any of that stuff, but
Yeah, I get what
you
you
know,
mean.
these people are relating like that. And you know, I'm able to interject points, and they were saying, "Oh, that's a great point, Ben. Oh, that's a great point." You know, but it's like, yeah, I'm still, you know, I'm just not going to go in that chat. I mean, like I
I like
would
to
go
keep
in there if they asked
my
me.
mod chat, I keep the mods pretty much equal, men and women. I try to keep it kind of an even thing so we can get both perspectives and now Chris, Lord Kiss Freak. He's a character and I don't know. I know he comes in
Chris
on the
is a
male
doll.
side, but he is a character. I don't know. I feel like sometimes he's like my twin brother. I just love him.
I
He's a
do
mess.
absolutely love the. I think it's the only video he actually made. And he was burning a shirt from this community, but I just love the cackle. You know, he's like, he's
Oh,
putting
I
lighter fluid
know.
on it. He's lying on fire. I just absolutely loved it because he was just
I know he
cracking
was
himself
so
up to no
happy.
end. You know,
Oh my, he's a character. I mean, I can be just really like in my feelings about something, and he will just like come out of nowhere. I don't know if he's been lurking and knows that that I'm kind of like in my feels, but he will just like pop in with some little something, and it's just I don't know. I just love him. He's something else. Okay, another one I wanted to look at is number 5. It says that we outgrow friends more often than we fight them. And I think that that's a lot what Kim was saying. And research shows that most friendship endings aren't explosive, they just drift away.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. I really do. The people that I'm not really communicating with that much, I'm not mad at them and they're not mad at me. For instance, I probably hadn't talked to the friend that I just, said that just asked if I wanted to go. Her and her husband and kids are going to go for spring break to Branson. And she said, "Hey, do you want to meet?" I said, "Well, if we do, it'd have to be just the weekend and, all this." And that was really the first big conversation that we had had in probably 3 or 4 years. No argument. And I think it shows because she's going someplace close to me and she's like, "Hey, do you want to go too?" And I'm like, "Hey, maybe, I'll have to see." But so I really kind of agree with that one that a lot of our friendships, they don't end, we just kind of fade away. And maybe that's a good thing. I mean, can we kind of move people around, like on a chessboard and kind of, when we need this person or they need us, is it okay to step back in and whenever everything's good, is it okay to back away and maybe go over to here with somebody else that maybe there's something in this other relationship that either we or they need more at that time. I think friendship should be kind of a give and take, and if you're friends, I think that you should be able to be friends without being in each other's face 24/7.
Yeah. What works for me is I guess I'd call it my best friend, lives 6 miles from me. We don't talk on the phone. We don't text. She comes over to my house for a couple hours about once a month, and we hang
Aw.
out and have a chat sesh and talk. And
Yeah,
because I don't do he said, she said, because that bores me. I don't
yeah,
care about it's like, do you still want to be friends with them? Okay, let's talk about that. I don't care what they said to you.
yeah,
And but she has her other best friends that they talk all the time because
yeah,
that's their thing. It's not my thing. And so learning that you can have more than one type of friend is
absolutely.
kind of new for me to learn that
Yeah,
I didn't realize. I kind of thought I always had the same types of friends. So it's kind of neat going all
yeah.
walks of life.
Mhm.
It's a little different.
I think that too. I have noticed as I'm getting older that I have different types of friends. Friends that I can just sit and talk to for hours, friends that it's perfectly okay to just send a video or a meme or something every few days, that and I can love them equally, I and feel love from them equally. And so I think you make a really good point there. I really do. I was on this part where they were saying that that friendships just kind of drift away. It gave four reasons, and it's values change, lifestyles shift, personal growth, or you have different priorities. And I think that that can be very much the same. Like, I have friends that whenever I was divorced and had all this free time to go party and do all these things, we were together constantly. I she This one friend, she worked for me, and I very rarely ever talk to her now, but there's not any kind of a fallout. We're not mad at each other. It's just that our priorities have changed. My situation changed. I sold my business to her, and I walked away from that whole thing and got married, and then she got divorced, so she really had all kinds of free time and I didn't. And but I know that if I needed something, I could be like, "Hey, Christy, I need, this." And if she needed me, then absolutely, I would, whatever I could do to help her, I would. And so I really believed that one. I believe that those reasons are very telling. And it says that there is less in friendship, that there is less "you betrayed me" and more "we just aren't aligned anymore." And
Mhm.
so,
That's okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world.
yeah,
Well, yeah, and then there's also, there's also a thing such as personal interests.
yeah,
You can be digging into stuff, and I know with me and some of the stuff I'm doing, my load as far as one of the things I'm doing and researching, it takes up a lot of time, and
yeah,
it won't always. It's not like I'm saying goodbye. It's just
yeah. This
I'm busy.
I'm
You
busy
know?
right now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's like me. A lot of my friends, they don't get like my dedication to fighting Scientology. They don't get that, and so especially whenever the first, this channel is 2 years old now, but in the first year, I was pretty much just strictly an anti-Scientology channel. And so a lot of my friendships kind of drifted apart then, again, for some of these reasons that I listed, is basically that they got tired of hearing about Scientology. They got tired of hearing all the reasons that I was busy and fighting this and everything. And they're like, "Well, it doesn't affect me." And I'm like, "Well, it should." And it was just all this, it should affect everybody because I worry about it, so it should affect you. But yeah, I mean, I really, it studying this really, I don't know, it kind of helped me understand why I'm not as close to people as I was, even 2, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever the thing is, and that it's okay, that it is absolutely okay. Now, but
Ben Turner.
Ah, sorry. That's the drawback to having. That's the drawback to having desktop notification. They pop up. You get more notifications this way. The problem is they pop up on your screen. They waste real estate. You go to close them, and if you're me, you hit all kinds of other buttons.
so now on number 6, we're going to talk about parasocial relationships, and we kind of have been, but what I did not realize was that people get this whole parasocial relationships wrong, kinda. So, Ohio State University says that parasocial relationships are actually one-sided. So just because, like, we are, in a online, basically, relationship on here, we don't live by each other, we don't go shopping or go to dinner and that kind of thing together, but it's not parasocial because I care about you and you care about me. So if it would be parasocial if like there's a couple, but one in particular, um a channel that I watch all the time or did. I still do. They're just not on as much now. Um I was so incredibly like invested in this channel. It was this young girl. She was in her 30s and she had lung cancer, had never
Mm.
smoked. She had two small children, was married, this, and she literally, they filmed her life for the last, few years of her life. And I was so invested in that I grieved, still grieve to this day, 3 years later, her passing. Um, they didn't know me. They didn't know anything about me, and they didn't do lives. They did just videos. And so they didn't see me in the chat all the time. And yeah, I would leave comments every once in a while, along with probably 3,000 or 4,000 other people. And so that is a parasocial relationship. What we have here is not parasocial. We need to come up with a name for it. And I know that like Keela absolutely hates the name
It's a
parasocial, and so
relationship.
I'm kind of beginning to feel like Keela did, because I don't think that it does describe what we have here.
Mm.
So but it says that parasocial relationships are emotional attachments to creators, influencers, or public figures, and that the brain doesn't fully distinguish between reciprocal and one-sided bonds. So
Mhm.
that's how we get so tied up, like how I was so tied up in this girl's life and death that, I mean, I sent her family, I sent her kids Christmas gifts, and they appreciated them. I'm not being like, and they didn't care. No, they absolutely did. They never neglected to, still don't neglect to thank people that send them things, or whatever, Christmas cards or gifts, or any of that. But I didn't realize that the reason that we get so tied up, because I thought, why am I so attached to this? This person, they don't know me. And I
Mm.
mean, now she's been gone 3 years, and her husband grieved greatly, but he has just recently got engaged to a wonderful woman that absolutely wants his now, deceased wife to always be in on the conversations. She never wants to like try to, take away from her and everything. But oh my Lord, people in the comments, people have left because he is cheating on Jenny by getting remarried, or not even married yet, by getting engaged to someone. And I'm like, he's 33 years old. Jenny said all along, I want him to find somebody else and all this. But it made me think when I was studying this, that if our brains don't distinguish between these one-sided relationships and reciprocal relationships, that's how I could get so attached. That's how these people feel like they have a right to judge him for a new relationship, is because our brain doesn't understand that this is a one-sided thing. He doesn't know who you are, and man, our brain is it's something, isn't it? It is absolutely something. So have any
Yep.
of you had like the one-sided relationship, the typical uh, you know, parasocial relationship? Can you all think of any relationships that you've had where you have gotten so invested in another creator or something that you don't have any kind of, there's no give and take. It's just that you watch and you have become
Yeah.
so attached to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Music. Music. I mean, for musician. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it's even musicians. I think it's for musicians and fans. Not
Yeah.
even drummer to drummer or whatever. Guitar to
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that with Neil Peart, and he was a drummer for Rush, and he was talking in one magazine. I mean, I wasn't like super out there, but still, I thought, wow, I've sent him letters, he's answered and things like that. Like, oh yeah, 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 we're like that. And it finally, I read one article by him, and he was saying for whatever reason that drummers connected with him because he was kind of influential, and they would
Mhm.
often say, "You must feel the same way about this because I play the same style of music," and that was an eye opener.
Mhm.
Wow, he illustrated it from his perspective, and that really, like, yeah, okay, you know what? I don't know the first. I
Yeah.
I mean, I really look up to him. He's really influential. Blah blah blah. He is a
Mhm.
nice guy, but yeah, he doesn't know who. He doesn't have
Yeah.
the slightest clue who Ben Turner is. Just because he's written me a few emails, he
Yeah.
and I found out later he wrote every if people were leaking his email address out, he would literally spend all day
Yeah.
writing everybody back. And that's just the kind of
Yeah.
person he was. And I could look up to him for that, but yeah, he didn't know the first thing about me, and I really didn't know the first thing about him aside from the music
Mhm.
he played, the lyrics he wrote, and what he
I I think
said
that
and where he
music is very powerful because I
yeah.
know I am absolutely obsessed with this band called X Ambassadors, and I mean, gosh, I mean, I think they're amazing. You'll have to listen to 'em.
What
You
genre?
it's a not really pop, more of a rock, you know,
Okay.
but, what was that Mark, what was the Jeep one? The Jeep the one that they had the Jeep commercial. They did a Jeep commercial, but anyway, a Renegade. It was a
Oh,
Jeep
okay.
Renegade. They did that commercial, the song, and, that's how I heard them first, but anyway, I am completely obsessed with them, and I feel almost like because I'm so obsessed, know every word to their every song, I follow them on their socials. I know that they don't know me, but at the same time, they are just still small enough that they do talk back. You know, they'll
Mm.
they'll talk back and stuff, and that just keeps you a little bit more hooked, I think. But yeah,
Mine
Well,
that
mine's music also. The only thing I could think of is in the 90s, country artists, before they would play in the big stadiums in Denver, the
mhm.
night before or the night after the concert, they would be at Cowboys in Colorado Springs
Oh,
playing for the
yeah.
Soldiers. And so you just paid your cover charge. And
Yeah.
then they'd play a set or two, and then you'd be shooting pool or hanging out.
Yeah.
mm,
And so I've
good.
hung out with Lee Greenwood, um, Neil McCoy, Chris Ledoux. He is the one. I met him, I talked with him, I shot pool with him, told him about a friend of mine that adored him, gave him the address because he was overseas, Operation Desert Storm.
Wow.
And he wrote him. He wrote my friend and sent him. I mean, we're talking handwritten. The guy has terrible penmanship, spelling. It was a real letter. And
Mhm.
he thought that I was like totally hooked up and that I knew Chris Ledoux because he got this letter. And that's the closest I've had where I felt like, oh my goodness, he cared enough about
Mhm.
me and to do that. And I'm sure it's something he did many times, but
Yeah.
that made me feel special.
I
It-
gotta say, you've actually named one country musician I actually know, and it's because of, albeit the rodeo song. Here comes Johnny with his pecker in his hand. He's a run ball man. He's off to the
Off to the
rodeo.
rodeo. Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
music, I think that we relate so much. I think a lot of people probably get into parasocial type relationships with the, singers.
oh,
Like,
Full
oh,
Throttle Saloon. That's the other one.
because we identify so much with music.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they wrote that song for us or something, or it
Mhm.
is exactly how we feel. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
met a lot of country and western singers. I had friends that sang in a band, and so I have had the opportunity to meet several. In fact, this is a side note kind of thing, but the singer Tracy Lawrence, I don't know if you know who he is, but anyway, he's a country singer back in the 90s. He actually called me on the phone and one of the friends that was in a band met him, and they did some stuff together. And so he had him call me because I was a big fan. And one of the few country artists that I was really a big fan of was him. And so anyway, so Tracy Lawrence called me on the phone, and I thought that it was this friend of mine, like punking me, basically. So I'm on the phone and I'm like, yeah, F you, quit messing with me. I'm busy. Don't be messing with me. I'm busy. And I hang up. And my friend would call me back and he'd be like, no, this is really him. Talk to him. And I'm like going, whatever, no. And, so he'd be like, he'd put him on and again, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. You're not even good at imitating him. Just, shut up. And I'd hang up. But I can't remember now what he said. He called me like the fourth time. And it was Tracy Lawrence was actually on the phone, and he said, listen, he said to tell you, and I don't remember what it was now, but he said something. And for some reason it was like, I just kind of went like, oh, okay, this is real, but I had identified so much with his music that I felt like I knew him, even though I didn't. And then when I was actually had the opportunity to, to talk to him, it was like that it changed it. He wasn't the person that I thought I was, it wasn't the same. I wanted him to stay over in this little compartment, where I could just, believe that he was just this, whatever I thought he was. And then sometimes when you get to meet those people, they're not what you thought. And you figure out that they put their pants on one leg at a time and fart, burp, and all those things too. So,
well, I think with music too, it's a very emotional thing.
Absolutely.
I think it's more that way than say actors. I know actors, they certainly get their share, but I think it's a different type because music speaks directly. Like, oh man, I absolutely love these lyrics, love the song. Oh, this is absolutely great. It causes such an emotional reaction.
Yeah. It was talking too about parasocial relationships. It says, so when a creator blocks you or their channels change directions and go, a different direction, or they disappoint you, or it becomes dramatic or betrays your expectations, it really feels like a real breakup. And I'm just going to be honest. I think we all probably know who Reese is. And I felt very close to her for a long time. And she did, we talked. But when I look back, I mean, she probably didn't talk to me as much as she talked to a lot of other people. But I really felt like that we were friends and that I knew her and cared about her and all that. And so whenever I learned some of the things that were going on, it felt very real to me. It felt like she had personally betrayed me. And honestly, she hadn't at that point. She's done some crap since then, but at that point, it wasn't a betrayal of me. Now, she had absolutely betrayed other people and deeply hurt other people. But it dawned on me whenever I was reading this that, it absolutely felt like a betrayal when I figured out that she was not what I thought she was. And so I was wondering if there has been a time on a parasocial level, like with other creators or even an actor or a singer or something. Did you ever find out that they're not who you thought they were, or did they ever do something that just made you feel betrayed by them, even though they don't know you? They didn't do anything to you, but have you ever felt betrayed by somebody in a parasocial way?
Sure. Yeah, that was certainly, it didn't happen with Reese per se, but it happened with one of her sister channel. I'll use that term.
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe I'm being a little childish, but yeah. But yeah, most certainly. And the thing that got me was I knew better.
Yeah.
But that's the way with all of us.
Mhm.
One of my mentors, Chase, he talks about influence, and I keep thinking, oh, he's got it figured out. Then he'll turn around and say, this stuff works on me just as much as it'll work on
Yeah.
you. So we often do things that we know better than. I'd like to think that I've since then learned from that, but
Yeah.
and we will inevitably, maybe not to that extent, but we will still make mistakes and things like that. But okay, this time I'm going to click close. There, no sound effects, no nada. Oh,
Oh, so
Well,
okay, number
for
7 is okay. Go ahead. I'm
oh,
sorry.
for what I had, it was really simple. It was a creator that I had contacted um, with information, like
Mhm.
kind of thinking that they could do something with it.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of Scientology. I'm not going to begin to know.
Yeah.
And their response was basically telling me to do the work and get
Yeah.
back to them. And that's when I discovered that all this creator does is repeat things they're told. They're not a researcher. They're not
Yeah.
getting really new. They're getting information from any source I could.
Yeah.
And but they're getting it. I'm not. See? So kudos to them for what they're doing, but it kind of changed because I thought they were more like an investigative type of
Yeah.
creator. And
Yeah.
they're not. And so it's kind of heartbroken because now I got to do all the work and so, but
I've
it
had
was
people get mad at me because they'll come to me with a great story idea. I mean, honestly, and they think honestly that because I used to be in the newspaper business that I just have all these ways of knowing all this stuff. But when you're no longer in the newspaper business, and I have been out for many years at this point, I don't have any, you know, magic ways of finding out things. And so, yeah, I've had people the opposite of what you're saying kind of come. I'm looking at it from the other direction where they've come to me and said, "Hey, can you do this or that?" And I'm like,
it's the rose
I
colored
don't know.
glasses come off where you
Yeah,
realize, you know,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
but it's an equalizer for
Mhm.
smaller creators that might not think
Yeah.
they're doing any good or anything. Mm,
Hmm.
numbers aren't everything. Your
No,
people are
I'm
doing what they
learning.
want to do for so many other reasons, and
Yeah.
that is what's fascinating.
It's funny because my channel now um, is actually probably more like what I would have wanted it to be like, you know, but I didn't think that it was going to be interesting to anybody. So I thought, well, you got to come up with a a big subject. So I came in with the anti-Scientology thing, and I'm always going to do that. I'm never going to stop, being anti-Scientology and talking about all that. But doing more stuff like this, that's probably more like what I would have wanted it to be, but was afraid to try
mm,
it that way. So it's just it's funny. Time gives you a different perspective, and
yeah.
and it also, when I first started my channel, I thought, man, if I get 50 subscribers, I'm hitting the big time, y'all. And then now now I've got like, I don't know, 1,600 or something, which is not big, but hey, it's a whole lot more than 50, and which would have been huge for me. I would have thought that was huge. But I'm learning now that I would rather, I said this the other day, and I know that some people probably thought I was crazy, but I mean this. I said, I have all the respect in the world for creators like, say, Aaron, who has like 250,000 subscribers, and all that. And I think that is wonderful. But I don't think that he is necessarily any more important than my channel is with 1,600, because my 1,600 subscribers, I'm important to those people, to the ones that come back, and they are important to me. It's a give and take. Same with him. I'm not putting him down, absolutely. but we all have our places, and we all have, what we're good at, and I mean, his channel is amazing, and how he stays so in tune with the people that are there day after day is amazing. Because I struggle with 1,600, and I don't even have 1,600 people that are here every time. But I don't know. I really would. I think that I would rather have my channel than his channel, because I have a better ability to know the people that are here. And,
Sure. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Well,
not that there's anything wrong with his channel. I just used his as an example of, because
Me
know,
too.
he's huge. So yeah,
I
I
mean,
go ahead.
we're not humans aren't really meant to have tribes that are
That
so
big.
huge.
No.
Yeah. I mean, you really.
Yeah,
I mean, you can liken it to a
That's what changes over to
mega church.
work.
that's what. A
Yeah,
mega
it
church.
becomes your job. If
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
it's different than
Yeah, I
a
like that I still
cause.
do this for fun. I like that I still do it for fun. And I am blessed that I don't have to do it for a job. And he is lucky that he is so good with what he does, that he can do it for a job. Because uh, I just want to do it for fun, and help somebody. I want to help somebody. So
Yeah, and we also have different levels of channel.
mhm.
We all have. We're all members of channel, more than likely, where you don't expect any type of connection at all.
Absolutely.
Like I go to a channel that talks about Suno just because I find it very fascinating, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get any sort of connection there.
I,
A lot
I
of the Scientology content, it's just like I'm just there to watch the subject, joke around with people in the chat a
yeah.
little bit. Maybe poke fun of, maybe poke creative fun at the creator a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's about it. Tease them a little bit, but yeah, you're not going to. But
I
yeah,
didn't
I
know.
think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know chat existed.
I
I
didn't know
didn't
it did for a
know
long time.
that this type of YouTube existed. I thought it was only do-it-yourself
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
And so listening to what you're saying, Ben, it just brings me back to, oh my gosh, yes, I didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when it was simple, I was just
Mm.
watching.
Yeah. Like watching a television show
Yeah,
versus actually being able to interact. Yeah. Yeah. I am into a lot of channels that people are probably like, what? Like, I am big on all of these shark attack channels. Like, I love watching them. I'm not big on them, but I mean, I'm big into them, is what I'm saying. And they don't show the shark attacks, they talk about them. And I mean, I will buy the books that they recommend. I will, I am like in it, like crazy in it. And pimple popping videos. I mean, pimple popping.
ah,
Yeah. I will watch that Dr. Pimple Popper to go to sleep because her voice is so soothing. So yeah, we're all over the place, right? We're all over the place. So yeah. So this one I think is kind of very important. I think that we've all been here too. Is number 7 is when online communities break up, that it can kind of feel like that you're in exile. So like if there's a not I mean like okay, so like I used Reese as an example. Um Everybody knows that a lot of people, got mad, a bunch of us left, a bunch of us stayed, and then another time some more left, some more stay, it's been like that. And I was thinking about it whenever I was reading this part, and I thought, I know that it kind of felt for me, like on the outside looking in, I kind of felt exiled, like that I was kind of the bad guy because I left. But then I got to wondering, did the ones that stayed, did they feel like the bad guy for staying? Like because they absolutely believed that she was wonderful, and I absolutely believed that she was the devil. And so, do we, you know what I mean? Do we each feel a little bit of exiled? Is in any community, not just hers, but in any community when there's like some kind of a split, just like a church. If a church splits, Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Is everybody kind of the bad guy, but is everybody kind of the good guy? I mean, it's just so weird
It,
to
prob-
me.
it
The,
probably depends upon the channel and how they
yeah,
use the us versus them
yeah,
mentality. Channels which use the us versus them,
absolutely.
that's going to be what I was talking about earlier with moral framing. That's going to be they left because they're evil.
Yeah.
I mean,
But then
they
we're going to be
understand.
like, they're idiots and they stayed. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it's kind
but
of a both
yeah,
ways. It's just kind of,
it is. It's fascinating. I don't know if he's still in here or not. Well, Lord Kissfreak is a great example of this because we left at different times. I think. I don't know who left first or anything, but it was fascinating because in the chats in the lifeboat, we would, I think we'd kind of pick on each other a little bit
yeah.
that way. But after,
That was the best
you know,
chat ever. Was the lifeboats chat?
yeah,
That was the best chat ever.
yeah,
I've
but
said that forever.
afterwards, seeing that he was out with his video where he's burn, burn. Well, he wasn't quite that bad, but it was
Yes, he was.
just tickling. But after that point, it's like, oh, you're out. Oh, good.
Yeah.
And the connection actually became more real at
Yeah.
that point because now you have something in common. I mean, before we had commonality, like, oh, we're in this channel, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
But
I think it got deeper.
it's a lot more real because you've been
Mhm.
through something and you both seen it and you both can relate to it.
Mhm.
And
You don't have to explain it to each other. You
yeah,
already know it.
yeah,
That's big.
yeah.
I mean,
So
it's the same with any kind of breakup. I think a church or anything, that whenever people on this side or that side, I think they get closer because
yeah,
they don't have to like explain what happened. They
yeah,
everybody knows. So,
yeah, yeah. And you're able to resolve that cognitive dissonance. Like, I
mhm.
know this is going on, but I'm going to explain it away. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. It
Boom.
says
Okay.
that research in digital sociology suggests being removed from an online group triggers similar psychological responses as being excluded from an in-person social circle. And it,
Mhm.
it says that losing moderator status or group identity, access to the creator and to the, whoever, everybody basically, insider information and the sense of we, that all of that just feels very destabilizing. And I've really given that a lot of thought too because I've had a little bit of a beef with a couple of former mods. Not going to go into it. I still care about them and I don't think that they're terrible people, but I don't think that I really understood because I've not been in that situation. I wasn't like a moderator that isn't a moderator anymore. So I've not lost that group identity or access to somebody or insider information or any of that kind of stuff. And so I wonder if that has affected you all, even if you weren't mods with somebody, but if you were invested in a channel, did all of that, leaving the channel or whatever, did that make you feel destabilized, kind of like the odd man out kind of thing? So Jan, how about you? Have you left any channels that you've kind of felt any of that about or left relationships that you felt that way about?
I had a streamer creator tell me where to go and to unsubscribe because I asked a question.
Wow.
I wasn't a moderator. I had just started.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to be.
Small channel, yeah, and I had just started getting into it on the recommendation of another creator.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, what is wrong? What is going on here? Everybody else seems to love this person.
Yeah.
And everybody else watches her. And what did I do that was so wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. I've felt that way. I've not left. I've not been a moderator and felt that way, but I have as just a person that has been into different channels or something, and then and felt very much felt like, what happened? Why was I pushed away, kind of a thing? Because I've had
Mhm.
that happen too. Not quite as blunt as what happened to you,
Yeah.
where they're like going, hit the road, but just made to feel uncomfortable enough that I knew that, it was time to go, that I was not going to be missed, kind of a
Mhm.
situation. So, yeah. I mean, one of my shark channels that I watched and have watched for probably 6 years, and again, I didn't know or care what his politics was. Only thing I cared about was that he was going over all these shark attacks over a couple of 100 years, these different shark attacks, and kind of lining up with where it happens the most. And, was it did they eat the person, or did they just like nibble and go on, or, what all that was about. But one day, and I mean, this wasn't personally to me, but one day in his video, he just suddenly said, if you are a Democrat, unsubscribe now. And I was just like, I didn't know that politics. I didn't know politics had a damn thing to do with sharks, y'all. I did not know that. But yeah, it made me feel very destabilized and very just like, ugh, and I don't know. And then that was like, honestly, that was probably my favorite channel on YouTube.
Oh,
And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, to not, I didn't know, I didn't care I mean, he had never said anything that told me or anybody, I guess, what his politics were, and I certainly had never talked to him. I just watched. At that point, I didn't, which he didn't, which I don't even think I knew that you could put messages. I just thought I was just watching. I was
Mm.
very like naive about YouTube when I started. I didn't know much of anything about it. But yeah, so I kind of get it. Like, I they were talking about, the research was talking about it from a moderator, or now ex-moderator kind of, you know, position. But I was thinking about it from an actual, just a viewer position
Mm.
too, where you're just viewing, and out of the blue, you don't belong there. Whether they literally, like what Jan said, hit the road, or I mean, he did, but where this one like singled you out and said it, this one that I was watching just made a blanket statement of, if you are this, hit the road. And I mean, this has been probably 5 years ago, and I'm still sitting there thinking, what the hell did politics have to do with sharks? I know there's a donkey and an elephant, but I didn't know there was a shark. So I don't know. Weird. Really weird. So anyway, so it's number 8 says, um okay, so it says, we create narratives to protect our ego when friendships end, especially if they end publicly. Okay, so it says people will often reconstruct the story in ways that preserve their concept of what happened. So, and then they also said, I don't know where I wrote that down, but you know how we'll say that two truths can be true, two things
Yeah.
can be true at
Mhm.
the same time. So it's not necessarily like, if I tell this, how me and one of my mods broke up, if I tell the way I think it happened and they tell a different story, that doesn't mean either one of us is lying. It just means that this is the parts that I conceived of that stood out in the situation to me, that seemed important or whatever. And then over here, this is the things that stood out for them and what hit them personally or seemed important to them. And we can take those, but of course, if it's a public breakup like that, whether it is a regular relationship out in the real world or online, we of course are going to kind of readjust that to what fits our narrative and our ego and what hurts us the less, and kind of paints us as the victim in a way. And so I found that really, really interesting. especially with some of the stuff that's been going on for the last about a month with one of my ex mods. But
Well, yeah, no,
anyway,
with a channel too, there's a thing where if you get called out on a channel, it's going to be
yeah,
very asymmetrical. The
yeah,
creator talking down to somebody, and you can't even. I mean, I wasn't in that situation, and I'm glad that when I went out of the
yeah,
boat, I had Christy, and of course, the first thing we started digging into, okay, what's true in this, and we
yes,
were able to dig and find,
yes,
oh, this is a lie, this is a lie, this is a lie, 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 and this is
hmm,
huge laundry list of things that we were able to spend just a few minutes here and there just to uncover. That was very cathartic or very
yeah,
therapeutic for us. But for somebody who's caught in an asymmetrical, talking down to, and
yeah, or
even if you're
punching
trying
down.
to argue with the creator, you're going to come off looking stupid because there's
Yeah,
like a 40-second lag. So by the time somebody hears something and types something and hits enter, it's going to take about 30 to 40 seconds for
absolutely.
that to pop up on the creator and for the creator to address
And
it.
then even if they see it immediately, because I
Yeah.
mean,
And
sometimes I don't even know that somebody has said something.
and
So,
then you'll come off looking stupid, which is going to create more angst. And
mhm,
so yeah. Oh, I have not been in that situation.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be pretty
See,
bad.
I think that as a creator, just as the creator side of me, I think that, well, the two times that I talked about that I've kind of ghosted somebody was with mods, now ex mods, and both knew that there was some definite tension before. So I don't feel like it just came completely out of the blue, but maybe they didn't know to the extent that I had been thinking about stuff in the back of my mind and everything. But
Mhm.
so anyway, I am very cognitive of the term of the thought of where people say that you punch down at somebody or you punch up at somebody. So like if I'm the creator here and I feel like that if I come at them like, well, you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing that it kind of feels unfair. Like that I'm kind of being like I'm above them and I'm being like, you did this and you did this and you did this and you did, and then I don't know. That's what going back to the whole ghosting situation. I kind of feel like that's why it was easier in a couple of situations for me to just back away and hide
Mm.
to avoid that punching down kind of thing, like that I was being mean, you know? And in one particular case, now they're punching up. They are
Ah,
punching up at me. So, and that's hard because you, as a human, the human side of me wants very much to say, no, no, you're not going to do this. You're not going to lie about me.
mm,
But then I go back to the deal where it's two truths can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. Like this person may not even, they don't see it as they're lying. This is how they saw it. This is their truth. It just doesn't match my truth. And so, boy, I'm telling you, friendships and especially whenever it is when all we're dealing with is typing things. We're not really talking face to face. It can get pretty hairy pretty fast because you can't get tone and
yeah.
and people can they listen sometimes and I'm guilty of it too. They listen to argue, not listen to hear. And so even like say if I write a whole thing about this is my truth. This is what I say happened or this is how I feel. When somebody reads it, they may not be saying, "Oh, okay, I see. This is how she feels." Whether it's what they've intended or not, this is how she feels about it. Same thing can be true as like, one of the mods, she's done some videos about me and when I watch it, I'm not listening and thinking, "Oh, I get that. I get how she could have felt that." I'm just thinking that's not what I meant. That's not that's not how it was. And maybe we're both right. You know, maybe we're both right. And again, I think that it's so much of it, and back to the whole, I'm going to come up with a term that is better than parasocial, because again, parasocial is one-sided. But I haven't come up with something, and I
It's
haven't
a
found
working
any.
relationship,
Yeah, it is a working
maybe.
relationship. Yeah,
I mean,
it is. And but whenever we're just dealing with text and typing things, I think it is just so easy for people to misunderstand things, because like if Jan and I were on a phone or something together, and I said something that hurt Jan's feelings, she could stop right then. She could say, "Wait a minute. That hurt my feelings. Why would you say that?" And I could be like, "Oh my God, no, I didn't mean it like that. This is what I really meant." And she could be like, either accept that or be like, "Fuck you. You meant it. I know you meant it." And but on a text, you're not. You have your whole statement, and by the time you get down to the bottom of it, you are so pissed over 2 or 3 things, and it's had time to ruminate in there and just build. And so I think that really makes it hard on a lot of relationships. And if people are already, kind of inclined to be mad over something, I just get it. But I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix it, but I think it's just part of the world that we're in now, and we're going to have to learn to work with the world we're in,
Mhm.
and accept that. But yeah, so they said that a lot of, on this, where it says that we change the narrative or whatever to protect ourselves, our own egos, and I absolutely believe that. It says, an example, we might say things like, "I left because they were toxic," or "they were jealous of my success," or "they couldn't handle my growth,"
Mm-mm.
or "they abandoned me." And I didn't put those down. This came up so I'm not talking about anybody. I don't think that, I'm not saying that anybody is saying those things about me or anything. That was just in the stuff that I found on Google. But yeah, I really, like, "I left because they were toxic." But were they? That kind of thing. Was it all toxic, or were they? I mean, yes, sometimes that is absolutely the fact. And but yeah, I don't know. I find the whole, why people fight and why they, break up and get along and whatever. I just find it incredibly interesting. So anyway, it said on number 9, it says that social pain lasts longer when it's ambiguous.
Hmm.
That clear endings, often, that they're easier to process. So again, that made me think about the fact that, I have ghosted people, and maybe if I had went to them and we had some kind of a blow up, in the end, apparently that's easier to process from.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, because all I could think about was the months that I cried myself to sleep over a friendship that I lost, in that kind of thing, where there was a definite, an argument, a clear ending. This is over as of today. We are no longer friends. And so, but all the research that I found was saying that it is easier to get over something that there is a clear ending. And so I'm wondering with you all, do you think that? Have you had breakups that, had a clear ending? And do you think that that was easier to get over than something that was maybe not so clear?
Almost certainly. I think the brain absolutely hates open loops.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, yeah, you ripping the Band-Aid off would be a good
Yeah,
analogy.
that's true. Yeah. So Jan, what about you? Have you had any like clear endings, like where
Yeah,
did it make
for
it
me-
easier?
for me, it wasn't. It kind of felt the same.
Yeah.
Maybe I hold on to things too long.
Yeah.
I-
And I wonder too if that has to do with, if there, and I didn't see that. I probably could have really dug into it more, but I wonder if there's any kind of correlation between men and women on that. Do men or women prefer one or the other? You know what I mean? Like, do women, like, do we hang on to it, because we're supposedly the more emotional, you know? And I wonder, like, do men and women process those kind of things the same or different? And I never really saw anything that broke it down into sex, on how that was. It just kind of did an overview of it. So Kim, what about you? Have you felt like that if you had like a clear ending that was easier than kind of an open ending, like you know?
I basically never allowed endings
Mhm.
because my mindset is everything was eternal, everything's forever.
Mhm.
So there is no ending. So you can't break up with me. You can't stop seeing me.
Yeah.
These are just that's not the way things
Yeah.
worked in my
I get
brain.
that. I get that.
So yeah, no, I was the person that wouldn't go away. I'm the one that, yeah, and
Kind of where I won't let Ben ghost me. I just go get him, drag him
try and
back.
fix it or change it or adapt myself or do, you know, yeah. But I've learned the past 5 years that I like something on the other side of the equal sign. And I had to learn that it's okay to put a question mark there, that
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be forever, doesn't have to be permanent. A question mark can be an answer.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm doing it now.
Yeah. Christy says that even on my channel, I only directly addressed my leaving once. I get that. Everything that I, 'cause- okay, so like I've talked to both my therapists that I see online and ChatGPT. Because, I was like, okay, I'm going to see if this therapist knows what the hell she's talking about. So anyway, I asked them about this kind of thing and everything. Like Christy said, she addressed it only once. Both the therapist and ChatGPT says that you are supposed to address those things once and never again. That you say, this is my boundary, this is what I'm doing, this is what I am, and boom. And I'm just like, wow, is that in so many ways? I have such a hard time with that. And I absolutely, which Christy, her leaving her channel, that wasn't an argument. That was just for her, for to better herself. And so, but yeah, I'm just like, man, that is a tough thing to do because I can be like, okay, I am done. I'm not arguing over this anymore. And then, maybe they'll say something else and then they'll say something else. And I mean, I might stay completely out of it for weeks, just like with Reese. Months would go by and I wouldn't say or do anything with her. And then some little thing that she would say would set me off, and I would completely forget that I was never going to mention her again. Like I was looking over some of my shows the other day, and I think it was the one that had gotten the most views because I was looking for my anniversary show and then I was sick and didn't do it. But anyway, I was looking at what got the most views, what got the least views, that kind of thing. And the one that got the most, I think that's what it was one that was said, my final word on Reese and Tommy. And then there was like 6 videos after that that mentioned Reese or Tommy. And I thought, I am never saying my final word on anything ever again. Because I just don't know how to do that. I don't know how to just not fall for it. Gosh. And then it was also saying that online visibility intensifies breakups. So breakups with people that are online, that audiences will take sides. Narratives on both sides form very quickly. Algorithms reward drama, and private pain becomes public commentary. And that is all. It is very true. I mean, just like, for instance, with the breakups that Aaron and Jenna have had, man, immediate sides are taken, immediate, you know, all of this stuff. It's just up for, like, we don't know these people, not really. but we all feel like we have a right to inject our opinion and that they should listen to us. that, that my opinion's right. And so, that it's crazy how all this stuff works. So, it said in here that I thought this was pretty I liked this one. The rupture isn't just relational, it becomes reputational. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it really would, in their case when they broke up, look at all the videos supporting either side or neither side that have come up from other creators, that they start attacking reputations on either side of it. Jenna has been called, like a victim, that they act like that she's not, strong enough to have her own mind about things and all that. And that does a lot for a person's reputation. And then Aaron is a womanizer and all this stuff. That's his reputation. It's not just how we can relate to these breakups. People then have this tendency to try to destroy whoever they don't agree with. And sometimes that's both sides. And so I really thought that was kind of interesting too. So, and it did say that this is a modern twist on relationships that our brains are not built for. We are not built for all this. Our
Mhm.
brain was not meant to handle all this stuff. So, anyway, that's all I've got on the subject. But I was just, I just figured that if I was thinking all this stuff and worrying about all this stuff and, friendships and all that other people had to be doing it too. I am going to look at our starred comments real fast and see what they've got for us. If y'all will bear with me for just a little bit longer. So Christy, she says, I don't ghost. You will know exactly why we aren't friends, in a polite way, of course. I might put it off until I have to have that conversation, but I will always have that conversation. I agree. And I kind of did that with somebody the other day where I did kind of walk away for, a couple of days. And then went back and said, listen, I'm sorry. This was not how I meant for that to go down. And, I tried to kind of apologize, but still have that I still think it was best for both of us, kind of a thing. Didn't go over good, but I tried. And so I really, I can't imagine Christy being anything but polite, though. She's always so sweet. I don't think I'd mess with her, though. She's tiny, but
Oh yeah, the whole candle thing. Yeah, I just don't want to be drooling in a bucket every time I tell her something. Please don't make me drool in a bucket.
I know.
But no, I really love the way Christy, and I've really learned a lot from Christy in
I have too.
this respect, was that she will say, when something happens, did I see it? Did I see correctly? And it was like, most of the time, I'm like, I don't know. If it's something we both witnessed, but then she'll say, I'm thinking about sending this. How does this sound?
Yeah.
And then I'll interject and then, go back and forth a little bit.
Mhm.
My advice is almost always wait 24 hours. And Christy's very good at doing that.
Yeah.
And she'll get input from a couple different people.
Yeah.
Usually, if not me,
I
then
need to learn
Karina
that.
or both. And then she'll play with it a little bit more, maybe give
Mhm.
it a couple more days, then she'll finally send it, depending upon what her heart's saying. But
Mhm.
yeah, I really do applaud her for how
I do
well
too. I do
she
too.
handles that.
Incarnasol says, I've ghosted grifters, as in the one Ben mentioned earlier. I think a lot of people ghosted that grifter. Or a couple of those grifters, actually. Christy says, I think ghosting does keep that door open, which is what Kim was saying, and doesn't give closure and a complete break. I think both people can improve when you know why it ended. I think so too. I really, whenever, in my defense, if I have ghosted somebody, I really didn't mean it as the final word, and I should have said that. I should have said, "I'm walking away. I will address this when I can get my thoughts together," or, something of that sort, because that's really what I mean. But I always, I'm a better writer than I am a talker. And I just, I want to be able to give some time to my thoughts, and I can do that better. Even if I'm going to tell you, if I kind of take that time and kind of edit myself in my mind and all of that. And so, yeah, I agree, Christy. I think that it really is better when people know why it ended. And I'm working on that. Lord Kiss Freak says Ben can read letters.
Can't type. Well, yeah. And then Carnival said later on he was absolutely right. He can't type them, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what the next one was. He can't type them, but oh, he just can't type them correctly. Ben and I are both pretty good at getting a lot of typos.
Well, yeah.
And Ben is constantly putting stuff in the wrong chat.
yeah. And I just did that. I'm horrible at that. But yeah,
I
and
do
honestly,
too.
I'm better at work. And I know it's because, I mean, I'm not a good typist, no matter what standard, but I'm better on, no, I suck less at work. This keyboard, I had an old keyboard, and it was one where you really had to
Yeah.
cardio type. It's like, so it's like, okay, my fingers
Yeah.
are getting sore. I'm going to get a sensitive keyboard. That will help. So I looked for the most sensitive keyboard I could find. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Like, your finger, you even think sometimes about a key and it'll go off.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
damn it.
If you're 2 or 3 keys over from it, you'll get like 3 letters popped out because you were kind of over there. So we just
yeah,
wiped them off.
sometimes if I pound on my desk, I can get like spaces and things like that. So yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that was a big mistake. Never again am I going to do that.
So AB says, I think that it is because most people, while having grown apart, respect the friendship for what once was. That we don't want to be harsh or hurtful in the end out of respect for the history. Yeah, I have a hard time with that. I don't like to fight because I have a hard time with if like okay, like when my mother passed, for a long time that's all I could remember was like the last few days of her life. Whenever I've had arguments with people, that's what I remembered was the arguments. And so I agree there. We sometimes I think that maybe that's why I just walk away is because I don't want there to be the harsh words. I want to be able to still like that person and them like me, and it backfires. I mean, there really is no easy way to break up. There's just I think that we just have to figure that out, that there's just no easy way for it.
There was a line in a movie once that said, if things didn't end badly, they'd never end.
True.
And I always think about that sometimes with some
Yeah.
relationships and friendships going, it needed to
Yeah.
end that way or I'd still be there.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is absolutely in my first marriage. If it hadn't ended badly, then if he hadn't have said he was going to look for a new mattress and stayed gone for 3 days, then I don't know where the hell he was looking for mattresses at. Must have been like 3 states over. So Christy says, I try to check in every day, but it's not always deep conversations as in on this healing, growing journey. I see things very differently. Absolutely. I am really starting to see things differently. And I'm going to also talk to you all on Wednesday. I'm having Jimena on, and I tell you, she's really helped me with some healing recently too. We had an angel healing deal that she did with me the other day, and it has changed something inside of me, and we're going to share a lot about that. But I that reminded me of that with what Christy said. That you know, some healing and changing and growing and all that goes on. And hopefully we get better. So AB says, people have lost their collective minds. I worry for content creators because some people on the internet don't have an understanding that they have lives outside of the internet that don't involve them. Absolutely. Absolutely. And creators the same with some of our viewers. I think that we, you know, how like if somebody in your family or whatever dies, and when you're looking out, it looks like the whole world is still going on and you're stuck in a position. And I think that creators and audiences can sometimes do that. Creators, it's almost like we forget that they're not just waiting for us to come on with another video, and that I think sometimes the audience doesn't realize that when a creator is gone for a couple of days or whatever, that they've got stuff going on, that they've had to handle this other stuff, that it's not just about the channel, which is absolutely, both are correct. It's there's not a bad guy in that situation. It's just what our perspectives are. So mental health matters to us. Hey, Keela. Good evening, all. I wouldn't say that they are one-sided necessarily, at least not the ones we share here. Yeah. It's just that we can choose to let each other completely in. Yeah, that's what we really need. She's talking about parasocial relationships, and she hates that word. Uh, there needs to be another word for it, for what we share online when we actually are in relationships, friend relationships, or whatever we are in, because it isn't just one-sided. And from what I was seeing, the experts are using that term for something that is one-sided. And so it's kind of just got blanketed for all online relationships when really it's not. It's supposed to be the one. So here's the second part of that says, or show the sanitized, ready for Facebook version, so you never really know the true person. Yes, I call that pretty pictures. There are people out there that what they show of their relationships and their life and all that online, on Facebook, on YouTube or whatever, are pretty pictures. They're not gonna a lot of times show you the messy house, the sink full of dishes, the whatever that might be, that they didn't get out of their pajamas today. Like, I still have my pajama bottoms on. I put a cute top on though. So, you know, and I agree with her there. We only see the sanitized version. And so sometimes whenever we start connecting on a more personal level, you start seeing the not so sanitized version of people. Because I've even worried about that with I've got a couple of newer mods, and Kim's one of them, and AB, and I'm like, oh man, they're like gonna get a dose of Susie being in a cranky mood today, and they're gonna be like, ah, and run screaming from the channel because it's just not all smiles and behind the scenes, and because we are human and we have those bad days where we're kind of pissed at the world, or a pity party, or just whatever it might be, and so when you start seeing those the unsanitized versions of people, it can be pretty hard sometimes. So Lori Driscoll says, I was at a point where I was spending dozens of hours watching certain YouTubers, and I realized that I was spending so much of my time hitting notifications, and eventually chose not to, that it was a big deal. Here's the second part. At the time, but now I watch who I want to watch, and if I miss something, I don't have to be. Yeah. You can be in the replay crew, or you don't even have to be. Like, that's like, I say all the time that if a topic that we're talking about is not something that interests you that day, I'm not hurt if you don't watch that one or whatever. Come back and watch something that you are interested in. The same with the mods. I'm like, okay, if you are not feeling it for this, this conversation, or if this is triggering for you, don't be there, because your mental health and everything is just as important as mine or anybody that would be in the chat. And so I don't want anybody to feel like that they have to be there, and like sometimes I feel bad because like, well, like okay, Barbie M04. I'm going to read her deal in just a second, but I don't see her all the time. I see her, right? And so it would be very much like me to be like, "Oh, hi, I haven't seen your name in a while. Good to see you back." I don't mean that like, "Listen, why weren't you here?" That's not what I mean. I just mean that, "Hey, I noticed you weren't here. I'm not mad." I don't feel like you dumped me. I just I'm glad to see you back, that I've noticed that you were gone. And so, but I know some people that get pissed if you're not there every time, every single time. And it's weird. I think we all just have to give each other some grace. So, yeah. Barbie says, I used to watch a lot of channels. Some were cons, sad fishing, unscrupulous. Ugh. So I unsubbed to a lot of them. Now I just have a few channels that I like where I see many of the same people, and it's much nicer. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is so cool. I remember, I said to Ben a while ago that the I gotta put this one up real quick. I didn't know sharks were Republicans. Absolutely, right? But I was trying to now I forgot what I was doing. What was I saying? Oh, Jan, what was I saying?
Something you were telling Ben.
Oh yeah. But what was that? Crap. Ben, what was I telling you? I'll come back around to it. It'll come back around. Y'all know I can't I can't. It had something to do with. I'll come back to it. But
She does it all the time.
did you hear Mark? She does it all the time. Well, I was. I'll figure it out, and tomorrow I'll be like, oh, what I was telling Ben was.
When she was talking about how she watches a lot of different channels,
Mhm.
I do too. And the
Yeah.
one thing I want to be educated, enlightened, or entertained. So if one of
Absolutely.
those three is not happening, I'm going to bail. I'm going to go do something else or a different channel or
Absolutely.
whatever. But I like that.
Yeah.
We
Oh
need the
yeah.
freedom to grow and experience new things. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what it's all about.
Absolutely. I was trying to see if we had any more that might tell me what I was saying. Does anybody know what I was saying? Yeah. Tiny but feisty. Yeah, Lord Kiss Freak. Christy is tiny but feisty. Well, guys, since I can't remember what I was telling Ben, I really will remember it about 3:00 in the morning, probably. So, I'm gonna go ahead and call this. I think we've been going for over 2 hours. I want to thank all of you. I just love this. I love having people on here and us just talking. And even if we don't ever maybe we don't cure anything, we're certainly not curing cancer, but I think that it just does good for us to talk and get to know each other, and for other people to see that we each have different opinions on some things and different ways of going, at things. And yet we can all get along and grow and learn and just know that we're not alone, because I think this world is lonely. I think it's a lonely place sometimes, and I think that that's why so many people are online so much, is that it really has gotten to be a lonely place, and I think that it got even lonelier with COVID, and
Well,
I
yeah,
think that we've not really learned how to be as interactive with people since we got through COVID. I don't think we've ever really completely recovered from that. And so You know, I think it's important to have these kind of conversations. I really do. So I appreciate all of you so much coming and sharing your opinions and your thoughts and all of that with us. And just, I think you're all great. So I'm going to go ahead and bump you off of the screens, and I'm sure talk to you guys after after I get out of here, or else tomorrow. I may end up asleep. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. I'm going to take them off. Okay. And to the people that are here in the chat, thank you so much. And to the ones that are on the replay crew or you're just lurking, I hope you know that every single one of you are important to us and to the majority of the creators out there. To the majority of the creators, you do matter. And you know, maybe we don't get to know you as well as we get to know others, and that's okay. You know, we don't all have to be the best of friends, but we can all get along and be there for each other when we need it. And I don't know. I just think that like I said, I think the world is a lonely place sometimes, and that if this is the way that some of us can stay connected to each other, you know, Keela said the other night that, you know, she's been so secluded with her illness, and especially in the last 6 months or so, but even before that, that her online relationships are the relationships that she is able to carry through with on a daily or weekly or whatever basis, because she can't get up and go and meet friends for lunch or whatever, but she can pop in on different channels and talk to people in chats and that kind of thing. And so I think that, I don't know, like maybe this wasn't what would work 20 years ago, but maybe it's what works now. And I think that we need to stop minimizing the relationships that we have online, because I think that these are important relationships and they aren't just throwaway relationships. And I think that we would all do better if we realize that, myself included. You know, I've been pretty honest tonight about making some pretty shitty decisions. I wouldn't change the outcome, or I wouldn't change the decision, but I would change the outcome of it. I would change how I went about it. And so, anyway, we all learn, right? Me included. So anyway, I'm going to let everybody go. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's late, and y'all, again, if you could just, you know, give some good vibes, energy, prayers, whatever, for Jimena and all the people in Mexico right now, and also for the Guthrie family in Arizona that are having such a rough time. So just, I on a personal note would really appreciate, just especially for Jimena, any love you can send. So I will see you guys probably Tuesday.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications said to all